What's up, friends? Welcome in a Monday edition of Rock Chalk Sports with Dan Courtwright. I'm Sean Kellerman. Man, we are feeling good after a great week for Kansas basketball and an exciting week for KU football in the transfer portal as well. Got a lot to get to today on Rock Chalk Sports, and going to tell you all about that. Dan, how was your weekend?
It was good. Still having car troubles.
Yes.
Like we said, between the two of us, we have 3 non-working vehicles.
Yes.
So that's not ideal. But yeah, no, I mean, look, it was nice to kind of have 2 days.
It was weird.
Off, you know what I mean?
It was weird.
Saturday, I did a lot of wedding stuff. We went down to the venue and checked it out. So it's going to be. I don't know if the viewers know this. Sean is going to be officiating my wedding.
I am. How about that?
I can't remember if I had mentioned that on the show.
My understanding is that it's going to cost me $10 though to get ordained, which is ridiculous.
Yes, and we will be paying you an hourly fee. My agent's going to get with your agent, and we'll kind of hash all those figures out.
As long as it's paying and not charging, then that's fine.
Yeah.
We're going to charge you to officiate my wedding.
So you haven't done that yet.
So do I need to do that? I was kind of
preferably before the wedding. Yes,
I was kind of waiting for Piper to give me the. What do I do? Do I just Google it?
I'm not even kidding. We can even make a segment out of this. Go to
getordained.com.
Yeah, just like type in get ordained. Mine. Where's my wallet? I have a little card that says.
You got $10 in there?
Universal Life Church, I think, is the official.
Getordained.com is actually a thing. It looks a little sketchy, but
yeah, no. Type in Universal Life Church.
Where is the wedding again?
Emporia.
Is it indoor or outdoor?
The wedding itself is going to be outdoor. The reception will be indoors.
Okay.
So it'll be hot. It's going to be in June.
Nice and toasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So, but yeah, you probably just do that.
You said June. It's only January.
I know.
Okay, fine. So is it $10?
Yeah, it's like $10. Maybe 20 if you want like the parking pass. They sell it's actually so great. They sell like parking passes, and it says like ordained minister on the bottom. It's so great.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I thought the parking passes thing was a joke.
No. I'm not even kidding.
Anyway,
but they'll send you a little certificate. They'll send you a card. They'll send you.
I am actually
different kind of things.
I'm actually not out of town for that either, so that's a good thing.
I would hope not.
I have some correspondence I got to catch up on.
If you're going to be out of town, please let me know.
Yeah, okay.
You need to get somebody else. Well, I told you. I said. We were looking around at people to potentially do the wedding, and I was like, well, okay, well, who's a guy who, we spend a lot of time with, who is an eloquent speaker, who is just one of the best and down-to-earth dudes that I know, one of my best buddies, and none of them were available.
None of them could not think of anybody.
I asked a lot of people, like so many people, and none of them were available. And I was like, well, I guess Sean
was probably not doing anything.
Right. And they say the best availability is availability. Yes. And you were available. So.
I've got that. Yes. The 2 kids at home make me uber available.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, no, that was all I did. I mean, went and did wedding stuff on Saturday, which was nice. And Sunday, watched a lot of football, checked into getting a new battery for the temporary truck that I'm driving right now. How was your weekend?
It was good. Went and saw my sister, had some beers over at Coach's, one of my favorite establishments in Overland Park.
Coach Self's.
Yeah. Get some buffalo wings. Yeah, it's good stuff. They don't have Busch Light on tap though, which is kind of a bummer.
By the way, I've been planning this out for. We'll talk more about it, but the college football national championship is tonight.
It is.
I've been planning this out for probably a month and a half. That Piper and I were going to get a big platter of wings, and we're just going to eat them ourselves.
Oh, that's great.
Because we have a thing where like
many years.
Our diet starts February 1st.
Okay,
and so we're really going over the top and over, indulging
well, it looks better because then you lose more weight.
Exactly. The starting weight.
Work yourself up.
Get the starting weight up.
Right.
So you can continue to work down.
What about the Super Bowl? Because that falls in the February.
That's the thing. It's going to be
everybody
tricky.
has a cheat day.
I'm probably going to get wings again.
We're talking KU basketball here, the opening segment, as they win again at Allen Fieldhouse, 80-62 over the Baylor Bears. First, though, I want to shout out our good friends over at Crown Automotive. CrownAutomotive.com is the place to go, or check them out on South Iowa in Lawrence, as Miles Schneier and his team will get you in the vehicle that you need. Great selection of new and used vehicles. CrownAutomotive.com. Appreciate their partnership here at Kansas Nation. All right, Dan, 80-62. We're going going to hear from Flory, Bidunga, and Darryn Peterson next segment, the two stars of the game, unquestionably, for Kansas on Friday night in the Fog. And then after that, some Kansas football talk, as we have received a transfer, as we figured we might, from K-State. Going to be a lot of unhappy Kitty Cat fans over there regarding this. And honestly, I would say butthurt is a better way to put it, because they're just constantly complaining.
I just think like the universe has a sense of humor at times. This is potentially
mostly
the funniest.
Pointed at K-State.
This is potentially the funniest thing to ever happen in my life.
Oh, it's so good.
It's the funniest thing. Good. Kansas needed it too. Like
Dylan Edwards.
It works on two different levels, but hilarious.
The little jet stick running back. He's going to be coming over from Manhattan. Great stuff. We'll get into that.
Derby native.
Case of the Mondays. Following that, big NFL whip around. Another firing, kind of a shocking firing, if you will, of Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott. We'll get into that, and maybe some of the ripple effects as how many is that? 10, 11, 12 NFL coaches been fired?
I think there's 10.
I mean, it gets late early out there.
There was 9 before Sean McDermott.
God, it's crazy.
And everyone thought Matt LaFleur was going to get fired, but then they went ahead and extended him, I think.
Right.
So I think
Strange flex.
I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure the final count right now is 10.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Little KU women's basketball chatter, and then we're going to hear from Bill Self later in the show. And then to close out the show, we got a couple exclusive interviews. David Lawrence caught up with KU assistant coach Tony Bland, as well as KU big fella Bryson Tiller. We'll have those for you in the final segment, plus a game pick, college football playoff national championship. And we've got some thoughts in general, I think, on the format of college football, the length of college football, that sort of thing.
I'm wearing my college football playoff shirt.
That's just so convenient that it happened today.
I know.
I'm glad that was next in your rotation.
This was very intentional.
Let's talk about the game that happened on Friday night. It feels like it was a long time ago, right? Because we didn't play on Saturday, but 80-62. KU now 13-5, 3-2 in Big 12 play. My God, does that look better than 11-5, 1-2? 13-5, 3-2. We are pre-recording the show, so the AP poll is going to come out a little bit later. But Kansas will be back, I assume, in the top 20 after two really nice wins. Iowa State goes 0-2 this week. They lost at Fifth Third Arena to Cincinnati. That was kind of strange. Mm-hmm. So Iowa State's probably looking at 10th or 11th in the country, if I had to guess. But still, they were number 2 when Kansas beat them. That's big time. And then Baylor comes in, and it's weird saying a trap game or anything like that, because Baylor is a program that always has talent, and they've consistently been an NCAA tournament team. But coming off an emotional win, everybody's patting KU on the back. It could have been certainly scary, but KU started this one hot, Dan. 19-4 run. Baylor answered, to their credit. I mean, they, after that 19-4 run, answered with a 33-17 kind of extended run. They took the lead in this game, 37-36, but Kansas closes the half on a 7-0 run. That extends to 22-3 into the second half. KU gets separation, and it was all about the two stars of the game for KU. Everybody was solid for the most part, but Darryn Peterson, 26 points on 11 of 13 shooting. Flory Bidunga, 23 points on 11 of 14 shooting. Bidunga also had 11 rebounds, 5 blocks, and 2 steals. His best game as a Jayhawk, and certainly something that in the offseason you averaged from a box score, or you assumed from a box score standpoint. This is going to be probably when Kansas is at its best. The 1-2 punch of DP and Flory, and KU runs away with it by 18.
Yeah, I think Kansas did a similar job as what they did in the Iowa State game, what they did against Baylor in terms of just getting off to a hot start, right? I mean, you saw it right away. I think the score was very similar. I think it was 6-0 right away. All of a sudden, Baylor backed up in a corner. They call a timeout barely over a minute into the game. Well, there was 18-something left on the clock in the first half when Scott Drew called that first timeout, because Kansas just got on a roll. I think that's going to be a similar thing we're going to see, is Kansas tries to get off to a hot start every time, because that's going to be an easy way to win games, is to get them backed up into a corner early and try to maintain the lead. Kansas did an excellent job of that. And then we saw Baylor go on a little bit of a run kind of in the middle of the game, where, like you said, Baylor did wind up taking the lead at one point, but then Kansas kind of extended it. But like you said, it all comes down to the two thought of before the season stars of this team, and are the stars of this team, Darryn Peterson and Flory Bidunga. Two incredible performances. Peterson had 26 points in 23 minutes, went into halftime with 20 points, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I think he's the best player I've ever seen in a Kansas jersey. Maybe it's an overreaction. Maybe it's recency bias. Maybe I just haven't watched Frank Mason 2016, 2017 highlights in a while. He's so good. I mean, he makes everything look so easy. And here's the thing. You go back, you see some of those finishes that he does, where he has the ball at the top of the key, does a little tween cross, left-hand layup, and you go,
it's an NBA
move. That looks sweet. And then you go back and watch, you go, he split 3 defenders.
He goes where he wants to go on the court, and he makes everything look easy, like you said. It seems like we're a far cry now from a few weeks ago when there were fans saying we're better without him, right?
No.
We said that was silly then. I understand fans are frustrated, and winning helps everything, but how silly is that? Particularly after seeing this guy play and get a little bit healthier. He's out there. He's wanted to be out there for his teammates, for his coach, as he said. And I'm just so glad he's getting a chance to shine now and feeling a little bit better. But, 11 of 13 from the field, and they weren't exactly all layups. I mean, he gets where he wants to. He has little baseline jumpers. He's so confident with everything he does. The ball goes through the net different. Isn't that weird to say? It just bang.
Yeah.
It just bang. I mean, he just is so smooth and is such a good player.
He'll have like a little mid-range, like, awkward kind of like put up, and the moment it leaves his hand, you go, oh my God, that's in.
You're more surprised when it misses than when it makes.
Yeah.
And
he went 11 of 13 from the field. I mean,
so
shooting 85% was
23 minutes. DP played 23 minutes in this game, had 26 points. And again, I like the fact that, even though there may be scenarios where you want him out there at the end of the games, understandable. On the bright side, he hasn't had to play 35, 37 minutes.
Yeah.
Particularly this week against two quality programs. DP, he's been able to play and be incredibly good in limited minutes, if you will. So he is so special. And again, this is why we've always said, if Kansas wants to have a high ceiling, if Kansas wants to have a ceiling that the Kansas program is used to having, then you got to have him out there.
Right.
And I think it's been so silly when people have said in the past that, we're just better without him because they're just frustrated with him. And I get it. And all that. And we know that he's got an NIL check coming his way and all that. Well, he is very much somebody who
he didn't
not
miss
only
from
looks
inside
the
the
part.
arc, by the way.
He's ridiculous.
He went 11 of 13, 2 for 4, from the 3-point line. His only 2 misses were what felt to me like heat check threes.
He set the tone. As expected for Baylor, it was a lot of Cameron Carr and Tunde Yesufu. They ended up with 44 total of Baylor's 62 points. Yesufu, he also has that kind of NBA look, not to the extent of Darryn Peterson.
Yeah.
But, he can hit hard shots.
Well,
Baylor's first basket was a hard shot.
It felt like, Yesufu, not at the beginning of the game, because Darryn Peterson, out of nowhere, all of a sudden 13 points. You're like, oh my gosh, he's going insane. And all of a sudden you saw Tunde Yesufu face guarding him. But we talked about this before the game about how much attention he garners. You're essentially, for the other 4 players out there, you're taking away an NBA lottery pick to face guard Darryn Peterson. That takes away an elite defender who can help defend on those other guys. And that's why we saw Flory be able to be dominant down low. That's why we saw Melvin be able to get to the basket. Now, Melvin and Trey, they kind of put up some stinkers just in terms of their shooting. They had semi-good looks, right? Melvin went 3 for 11 from the field, which is not a good shooting percentage, but you saw him being able to drive and get open and also kick. And Trey White 1 for 8 from the field. Again, not a great showing, but you're seeing them both make an impact in different ways other than scoring. But he just takes so much attention away that he essentially, whenever he's being face guarded, you're playing 4-on-4. You got 2 NBA lottery picks hanging out in the corner over here. Now all of a sudden it's our 4 against your 4.
What tells you how good Kansas can be is, both DP and Flory were awesome in this one. But to your point, White was 1 of 8 from the field. Tiller was 1 of 6 from the field. Council was 3 of 11 from the field. So those guys, the other 3 starters for Kansas, combined to go 5 of 25 from the field. And KU wins by 18
I know.
Against Baylor.
It's actually insane.
I understand we want Trey White to shoot 45% from 3 all year. But you know me, I also understand that the law of averages is a thing. He shot 33% last year at Illinois. That was his best 3-point shooting performance of the season. He's probably not going to shoot. Hopefully he shoots 42% from 3 this year. But there are going to be games where he just doesn't shoot as well.
Yeah.
And this is a good game for him to not shoot as well because Peterson and Bidunga were completely in control. And again, Council, he's not a guy who gets judged in any way by his field goal percentage, I would say. He continued to control this one with the pace. He had 5 assists and 1 turnover, and he's a big reason why Flory had such a big day. Flory, how many lobs did he finish? 7 or 8?
Probably,
so
yeah.
athletic. Of course, he had the steal, one of 2 steals for Flory, and that led to the run out where Council had the little flip back behind to Flory to finish the dunk. That was one of the more exciting plays. And then 5 blocks from Bidunga as well. This is the Flory that you and I have talked about the last couple of weeks. What's the next step for Kansas offensively? Aside from getting Peterson to being healthy and as productive as he can be, it's Kansas having some sort of threat in the block. Now, Flory is still not the guy that on any given possession you're probably going to throw it to on the block and tell him to go to work, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many other things that he can do, particularly in catching lobs. And it wasn't just Council setting it up. It was a lot of guys. Trey White, he continues to contribute in other ways, despite just going 1 of 8. He had 6 rebounds and 3 assists. Peterson also had 3 assists, a couple from Bryson Tiller. I thought that Bill Self had a great first play of each half. Tiller had those 2 assists beginning of each half, where Tiller found Bidunga in the post. Nice little wrinkles there from Bill Self.
I think from a statistical point, you're not seeing Bryson where he needs to be, but I think that you're seeing he's
getting more comfortable.
Yeah, the improvement, the comfortability. I think that's a great word.
It seems like he hasn't lost confidence. He's not out there, fumbling the ball. He didn't have any turnovers in this game in 24 minutes. He's getting more comfortable, and that's what we asked for, right? We want these young players to play through mistakes. And, even though Bryson hasn't been as good as he was the first couple games this season, he's been very good. And again, you got solid performances from McDowell. He was +7. Marco Jackson, his plus minus was 0, but David Lawrence brought up a good point when we were talking about this and kind of looking at plus minus. It's because he's in when Peterson is out.
Right.
You're going to be, for more often than not, that's the case. And Kansas probably is not going to be as good on the scoreboard when Peterson is on the bench. And that's not a knock at anybody. That's just how it is. Marco, though, 3 of 4 from the field. I thought he was efficient. 3 rebounds, and he had a couple steals. He's kind of becoming that defensive pest that Kansas has been hoping. So we did see a little bit of Jaden Dawson. He hit a big 3 that actually gave Kansas the lead at 39-37 and sparked that long run.
Which is what we needed him to do.
Right.
That's why we brought him to Kansas.
For the most part, it's going to be a 7-man rotation, at least it looks like, only because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Kansas has been very solid on that front since they've gone down to that. So a big win for Kansas again. Now they are at 3-2 in conference play. The answering of the run was big because against TCU, against West Virginia, those teams went on long runs. Against Kansas, KU didn't have an answer. Baylor goes on a long run. It was kind of an extended run after that hot start from KU, but Kansas answered.
Yeah.
Final 7 of the first half, and then really dominated the beginning of the second half as well. So let's look holistically at the week that was for KU, Dan. You do what you needed to, and now you put yourself back in the conversation in the Big 12. Iowa State, like I said, lost to Cincinnati, so they're at 2 losses as well. Yeah, we understand there's a bunch of teams that don't have any losses with Arizona and Houston. And
Houston killed Arizona State this
BYU
this
did lose at Texas Tech, which I guess if you're hoping for a Big 12 championship, which we always are, you want everybody to hold serve at home. I think that's the mindset I have. Texas Tech did that against BYU, but a lot of talented teams, a lot of good teams. Overall, though, a great week, and now it's about taking the talents on the road.
Yeah, 100%, right? And, you look at this past week before Tuesday against Iowa State, you go, holy crap, Kansas is 1-2 in conference play. You're playing the number 2 team in the nation, and you're playing a solid Baylor program against Scott Drew, who's won a national championship, right? And you're very easily looking at that and saying, Kansas could be 1-4 after this week. And Kansas all of a sudden puts a drubbing, as you like to say, on Iowa State. And then they go out and they handle Baylor relatively easily. Now you got 2 games against very beatable opponents. Yes, they're on the road. Yes, they're going to be difficult. Colorado, I don't think is a good team, but they have a weirdly good record in the Big 12 and overall as it stands right now. I still think Kansas is a much, much better team than Colorado. But
I don't know for sure, but I would guess Colorado is a double-digit underdog against Kansas.
I would assume.
It might be 7 or 8. I don't know, but they did lose at West Virginia. They're 12-6, 2-3 overall, and they've got some nice wins. They beat Providence, so we know that they're gonna bring their best ball. They also have a win over Washington, but lost to West Virginia.
We have 2 beatable opponents at their place where you're playing at Boulder. It's going to be tough, and then you're also playing at Bramlage, which we say it, and it's not just for Kansas, for everybody. Rivalry games get weird, and K-State at Bramlage has had Kansas's number over the past couple of years, and this is their Super Bowl, right? I mean, they're looking at this. They continue to get trounced by everybody. They're like, hey, if you beat Kansas, your rival, the fans are going to get back into this. You know, you're going to get buy-in back from your team. This is obviously this is a much bigger game for Kansas State as it is for Kansas. So you got two tough opponents coming up right now. So it's good for Kansas to kind of gain some of that momentum. I use the word momentum a lot, and it could mean nothing, but it could mean everything, right? And I think that means a lot for Kansas to come off of a really, really solid week, to have two back-to-back road games against, opponents with their backs and corners a little bit, who are trying to claw their way back out.
Colorado plays much better at the CU Event Center than they do on the road. They do have a road win at Arizona State, who just got killed by Houston last night. Yeah. But the win over Providence, 97-88, that was at the CU Events Center. And the win over Washington it was not a road game, it was a neutral game. But they also almost beat Texas Tech at the CU Event Center. I pointed that to a potential trap game for Tech. Red Raiders ended up winning it 73-71. And then two losses on the road, the Cincinnati-Morgantown swing, where they dropped to two, middle to bottom tier Big 12 teams. But in Boulder, it's the lone meeting for Kansas and Colorado this year. You know that it's going to be a challenge. And KU obviously had a challenge last year against Colorado, a late night game, just as tomorrow will be.
That's right.
So that'll be tricky. But yeah, the importance of these two games can't be understated. I understand we said that last week, but it got to the point where you got to string some wins together. Now is the time to do that, because January 31st, BYU comes calling, and then February is an absolute bear for Kansas from a schedule standpoint. So,
I don't even want to look at February right now. I'm just saying, get through January, and then if you get through January, you win the rest of your games. Obviously, February Eve, as Brian likes to call it, you got BYU. You get through January, you have a lot of momentum going in, but then all of a sudden you look at February, like you said, you got Houston, you got Tech, you got Iowa State at Iowa State. I mean, there's just so many tough games in February that you just need to get through January not limping.
K-State dropped to 0-5 in Big 12 play. They fouled Oklahoma State when the Wildcats were up by 2 with 2.4 seconds to go. Oklahoma State was shooting a 3. K-State fouled them on a 3. Pokes made all 3 and ended up winning 84-83. So it's always K-State's Super Bowl, as we talk about. When KU comes to town, it's like the one thing that can potentially salvage or save their season. Yeah. Now, when you're looking at 0-5 and a coach who, if it continues this way, is going to be in his last year leading the program, more so the Super Bowl. That's Saturday, but you got to worry about the Buffaloes first. Again, that's tomorrow late night, 10 o'clock tip, 8:30 with the Crimson and Blue Show.
I was going to say, are you excited to be going to bed at 3 a.m. tomorrow?
David would tell you that he wants to get a nap in at some point before. But, it's going to be a really, really late one. But hopefully it's a Jayhawk victory, because as we've talked about, everything is better when you win. So KU over Baylor 80-62 on Friday night. We're going to hear from a lot of different Jayhawks. Next segment, we got Flory, Bidunga, and Darryn Peterson at the podium. Then we have exclusive interviews, David Lawrence with both Bryson Tiller and Tony Bland. We'll also get Bill Self post-game at the podium as well. Bill Self, no press conference today as the guys are traveling out to the Rocky Mountains, but we'll have a couple more exclusive post-game interviews for you tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports, when Kevin Flaherty from the Kansas City Sports Network will join the show as well. After this, though, we go to the podium. Flory, Bidunga and Darryn Peterson. Rock Chalk Sports rolls on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. I want to shout out Mitch Bales and Sam Abram and everybody over at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Love their partnership. Looking forward a little bit later this week to breaking some bread with Mitch Bales here at the Kansas Nation Studios. We love the partnership. Love getting a chance to hang out with them. If you don't know about Game Day Men's Health Lawrence, then you should check them out on Wakarusa in West Lawrence. They basically can take care of you. Any questions you might have, if you're feeling low on energy, can't get to the gym, hang out with your family, to work with the same amount of energy as you used to, they can help you out. First visit's completely complimentary. They can give you a blood draw, 3-step process where they will let you know what you need, and perhaps it could be life-changing. It legitimately has been life-changing for many people. And check them out, Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. We're going to have more information about them a little bit later. But looking forward to catching up with Mitch a little bit later this week. What a performance from Flory, Bidunga and Darryn Peterson. It was a game where generally we get 2 guys at the podium post-game. there wasn't much question who Chris Tyson was going to give us,
Right.
and we appreciated hearing from DP and Flory post game as those two guys scored 26 and 23 points respectively. No other Jayhawks were in double figures. They dominated, and Kansas won by 18. Let's go to the podium post game.
Darryn, you guys got off to a great start and you did a lot of the scoring early. What was your mindset from the start of the game?
Dominate.
And I guess, how'd you go about accomplishing that? Like, what was the key to your early scoring?
Just being aggressive on me. Shots were falling, so I was getting them up.
And then you came out after a little bit of time in the second half. How were you feeling at that point?
Great. Yeah, I felt great. Got out of there though, but I felt good.
For either of you guys, is a performance like the two of you guys had tonight kind of what you expected to see out of your abilities playing together?
Most definitely, we know what each other can do, and then how good we are. So we just need to play to our abilities, basically. So
Definitely. I came to Kansas to play with him, so I know we were capable of.
come on, bro.
I guess building off that, I mean, given that that was such an important factor for you, what was it like seeing that come to fruition tonight?
Was that like us playing good together?
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, like there was a play where you guys did a pick and roll pretty.
yeah. If you go back to like a interview when I was in my senior year, it was like, who was I excited to play with? Flory, because I want to throw him some lobs, so it was good to actually get one today.
Oh.
Rory, what does it do for your confidence when you get a series of dunks like you did in the second half?
It's pretty great because I feel like me dunking, hype up my teammates and then bring more energy. So as long as I keep doing it, I think it's good for the team.
Flo, how much do you guys emphasize the paint tonight against their line?
Excuse me?
How much did you guys emphasize getting in the paint and just doing work down there?
We have some great guard, DP, Mel, Trey, they're pretty good, getting down the lane. I think they just, use their ability to get down, and then so far it worked out pretty good for us. So that's pretty.
I wonder too where it feels like it's most clicking with Darryn back out there kind of full time right now. Where do you guys feel that as a group of five, it's showing that it's easy and it's clicking and it's working? Because it took a minute to kind of work it back in there, didn't it?
I'll say when we all play together, basically, we know Darryn's a great player. Either he creates his own or either, drew two defender and then open for other people. So we just kind of like based on that, and then so far it's working out pretty good. So.
Flory, you went against a second-round NBA draft pick tonight. What did you think of the matchup, and did he say anything to you after that dunk?
Which one?
The one where you dunked on him?
No, I knew. I was just shocking. None crazy. Didn't really talk, but great player. I respect everybody on the court. So that's a great matchup. I'm excited that we went, toe to toe. So.
What do you guys think of your start? Was it just coming off Iowa State, you just kept it going, or what?
You got this?
Yeah. I think Coach wrote something on the board. We can't be one-hit wonder, so we wanted to continue to stamp ourselves, and that's what we did from the jump.
Anything else?
Dan, this is the first time I'm going to say this, but I honestly think Darryn Peterson and Flory Bidunga, one of the great bromances of our time.
Yeah, dude.
Was it not?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Did you see the little dap up? How about that?
That was a good one. I hope the mics caught that. That was a good
That was a good, yeah.
That was a good. That was a good one.
You gonna do a high five? You gotta look at the elbow. Look at the elbow. That's the key. You gotta look at the elbow.
Look at that.
That's the key to high five.
Nice.
No, DP and Flory combining for 49 for Kansas. A fun night in the fog. A great week. Just what the doctor ordered. Not even just the 2-0 record, but the fact that Kansas has seen the recipe. And my favorite part of the game. I don't know. Obviously, they answered Baylor's run, but my favorite part of the game was when it was 7-0, and it was like I was worried there was going to have to be a slow start, maybe a Bill Self timeout, because again, everybody was patting these guys on the back, but Coach Self evidently had written on the board before, don't be one-hit wonders because of that. And they went out, they dominated. And I loved the beginning where the fans were all standing up cheering just because you hold a team to 0 for so long. I remember we played a game when I was in college. I think it was against Alcorn State, where they didn't score for like 8 minutes.
Oh, my gosh.
And it just was so fun because the crowd gets more and more into it because they've
Yeah.
still got 0. And obviously, Yesavu hit a really tough shot to end that and whatnot. But no, it was a fun night. Now we got to take it on the road. So good stuff. Hey, after this, we are going to talk KU football. Big week of news for the Jayhawks on the gridiron. A couple transfer portal gets, including a rival get. Don't see it too often. Dylan Edwards coming over from K-State to be KU's presumptive starting running back. What a weekend. What great news for KU and saltiness
Yes.
for the folks from out west. That's next.
I posted that. I'll talk about it later, but I posted that picture of Dylan Edwards, and K-State Twitter got their hands on
I'm
it,
sure.
and they were not nice to him.
K-State
Hey,
Twitter
that's
is
our
great.
guy. He's our
K-State
guy.
Twitter is great.
Be
I
nice
love
to
it.
him.
So salty. Good stuff. That's next on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. All right, we're going to talk Kansas football transfer portal. Transfer portal tracker, courtesy of Dan Courtwright, is on KansasNation.com. You know what else is on KansasNation.com? You can check out
All of our shows.
All of our shows.
Every show imaginable, and also
I was talking about Gurley's show. Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer.
Yes.
Between two fountains, or as Dan says, two guys, one fountain.
Right, exactly.
But there are two fountains. You'll check that out. Between two fountains, Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer. You don't know where these guys are ever going to take you, but it's going to be entertaining. You know that for sure. The first episode is up on KansasNation.com. Check it out. Also, as Dan said, you can check out our shows, Rock Chalk Sports, on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. Follow us on socials, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. But KansasNation.com is the place to go. Everything going on in the world of KU athletics. You got articles, you got press conferences, everything you need, and certainly Kansas football transfer portal. That's been a big story. The portal is closed, but as we found out this weekend, guys can still commit to where they're going. And
so guys
Kansas
can't enter anymore.
Guys can no longer
But
enter
you can
as
still
of Friday,
pick
I
up
believe
guys.
at 5 p.m. But you can certainly commit, and Kansas got a couple really nice attention-grabbing commitments over the weekend, Dan.
Yeah, a big-time weekend for Kansas as they get two really, really solid players. Let's start with maybe the story of the weekend. Dylan Edwards, courtesy of Derby High School in Kansas.
Gatorade Player of the
by
Year.
way of Kansas State, then Notre Dame, then Colorado, then Kansas State, and now Kansas as...
Really just Colorado and Kansas State.
No,
but
I
yes.
know. But he was it is great because the Dylan Edwards lore goes way farther back than that, because Kansas State, he was originally committed to Kansas State, then he's flipped it to Notre Dame. Kansas State fans hated him. Then he flipped his commitment from Notre Dame to Colorado. K-State fans are like, oh, you'll never do anything there. All of a sudden, his freshman year for Colorado, 76 carries, 321 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown. 300 yards through the air with 4 touchdowns his freshman year for Colorado on 36 receptions. The kid has breakaway speed. He's super fast, legitimate 4.4 speed. An absolute game breaker. He's 5'9", 170 pounds, kind of a smaller, kind of scat back, if you will. But again, the kid, this is what we needed in the running back room. And I'll talk about how hilarious it is that Kansas is getting a K-State running back with so much lore behind him. But you look at the 2 running backs that Kansas got out of the portal. Actually, let's go back even farther. Let's look at the 2 running backs that Kansas lost in the portal, and Harry Stewart and Johnny Thompson. 2 of those guys were we really thought they were going to be that 1-2 punch, kind of like the Daniel Highshaw, Le'Shawn Williams backfield that you had this year, right? You thought that those were going to be the 1-2 punch, the 2 guys who were waiting their turn in order to get on the field for the University of Kansas. Both of those guys decided to leave. All of a sudden, you only have Corey Mockery and Justin Thurman in the room. And I'm really high on Justin Thurman. A lot of people are really high on him. I still think that he has the potential to be a very, very good running back for Kansas someday. But you still need a lot more depth. Kansas goes out and they get Jalen Dupree from Colorado State, who is a really good running back, but doesn't have the breakaway speed, right? He's really good between the tackles. He can get you 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Then Kansas goes out and they get Yasin Willis, who, again, is very similar in terms of run style. He's a big guy. He's like 6'1", 220, 225-ish, a big bruising kind of back who will get you 4.5 yards in a cloud of dust, but not exactly the breakaway speed that you need out of that running back room, especially if you have an Andy Kotelnicki style offense where you like to run it outside of the tackles. You needed a guy with true 4.4 breakaway speed who can hit those home runs, who can receive the ball out of the backfield, and Dylan Edwards is that guy. Now, let's talk about how funny this is. Because
yeah, that's where I wanted to start.
It's fantastic. There's just nothing better than Kansas State fans at the beginning of Dylan Edwards' career when he was in high school, when he decided to flip his commitment from Kansas to Notre Dame and then eventually to Colorado. Kansas State fans hated him. They said, "We didn't want you anyway. Get out of here. Scram. We don't need you." And then after 1 year at Colorado, he enters the transfer portal. Comes to K-State. K-State goes, "Oh, you know that all that stuff that we said in the past. We actually didn't mean it.
Right.
We actually love you. You're fantastic." He had a great second year with Kansas State, 74 carries for 546 yards. Also had 133 receiving yards and a couple of touchdowns there. 5 touchdowns on the ground in his first year at Kansas State. Had a 65-yard run there. Again, just a guy with breakaway speed. By the way, at Colorado, he had a 75-yard reception for a touchdown, which is just, I mean, you can see the big game breaks, the big plays that he's able to get. He's so good. He's a patient runner too, and he's got that quick twitch and that quick acceleration that you really like to see out of a quarterback or out of a running back. And then year 2 with Kansas State, year 3 in his collegiate career, gets cut short due to injury. 34 carries, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns in only 4 games, which is a really impressive stat line if you're looking at 4 games total. But he dealt with injury throughout the entirety of the rest of the season. Now, there's a silver lining here, and that technically the redshirt rule says you can play in 4 games and you get your year of eligibility back. So Dylan Edwards will be eligible for 2 more years for Kansas if he decides to stay at Kansas. But again, just in terms of the needs that Kansas needed, he fits the bill perfectly.
Yeah. We can get into a lot from a schematic standpoint with what the backfield's going to look like, what the, I guess, offense will look like as a whole. But yeah, obviously it's hilarious that KU is getting a guy from K-State. There were murmurings as this was happening. Dylan Edwards was at the KU basketball game the other night. If you follow us on socials, you would have seen that. Dan Courtwright posted a photo of him and obviously enjoyed his time here. We also mentioned last week on the show that there were some people out there, some sources saying that Edwards had already signed. Now, everything official was not saying that, but it was pointed in the right direction. And getting back to how salty K-State fans have got to be, I mean, could you imagine? Like, it's similar to when Parker Brown came over from Mizzou in terms of you don't.
It's a little different.
Well, no, that's what I said.
Okay,
Let me finish.
No,
I said similar.
Go for it.
It's similar because you're just coming from a rival, but it's completely different in terms of this is a no disrespect to Parker Brown, a real impact guy who really is proven. And I understand he's not a perfect player, all that, and people feel certain ways about him, but he's a proven guy at the Big 12 level. And now Kansas gets something that they much needed in their backfield, and that's the segue. If Isaiah Marshall is a starting quarterback for Kansas, which I think right now he would be the favorite. He was so good when Kansas used him in certain packages last year and certainly has a lot to prove still, particularly throwing the football. We haven't seen that as much. But how exciting in an Andy Kotelnicki offense is going to be that Marshall and Edwards now are going to be back there. I mean, that is your exciting 35-plus point a game offense that we had when Kotelnicki was here. At least on paper. That's what we'd like. You mentioned Dupree and Willis, the running backs Kansas got in the portal. Kind of similar, and I think it was Greeny who brought this up last week, to Highshaw and Williams. Both kind of, at least on paper, bruising backs. Maybe not the most exciting, breakaway, scat back type, and you like to have options. Kansas now has that because you get those guys. You lost Stewart and Thompson more of a scat back, Stewart more of a between the tackles. And you do have Justin Thurman and Corey Amakri, like you said, who are probably 1 or 2 years down the line. Thurman might get some run this year. We'll have to see. But now, certainly further down on the depth chart, you have got a legit guy who is probably, I mean, he's probably your starting running back, right? I mean, worst case scenario, he's your third down back, but you have to think he slides in as your starting running back, and those other two guys will filter in as well. He has to earn it. There's a lot to be decided, but for people who like the option game, for people who like dual threat quarterbacks and fast, athletic running backs, this is a great get for Kansas roster, and honestly, one that they needed, because when you mentioned Willis and Dupree, again, those weren't the guys that are going to probably break away and get you a long touchdown run or anything like that. Certainly we have high hopes for him, but this is just so exciting because Coach K, he has a lot of athletes, he has a lot of playmakers, and this to me was kind of a missing piece.
I absolutely, right? And I kept on comparing the other two to Kareem Hunt, where you don't look at Kareem Hunt and you say that's a guy who's going to get you, 15 yards or break away a long touchdown or, be a threat in the receiving game. You need a guy with kind of a Christian McCaffrey-esque style of running the ball, or at least of being a running back, where he's a threat in the pass game, he's a threat outside the tackles, he's good in the option, he's good at jet sweeps, right? And you have a guy in Cam Pickett who I think is going to be utilized in different packages, and we've seen that at Ball State. We saw it here at the University of Kansas. But like you said, it's the missing piece, I think, is really what Dylan Edwards was. And, like you said, people can say whatever they want about him, and Kansas State fans certainly are. They certainly are saying what they want about him. But it's just overall just a fantastic get. I think that you can't go wrong with bringing in a guy with the amount of talent that Dylan Edwards has into this program. And that's not a knock on Jalen Dupree or Yassine Willis or Justin Thurman or Corey Amakari, but they're just different styles of runners as Dylan Edwards is. Dylan Edwards is just an overarching in terms of what you want out of a running back. Very, very different. If you're running a wing T, he's not going to be the fullback. He's going to be either the Z or the X, right? He's going to be one of those guys who runs it on the outside and kind of has that breakaway speed, can break open field tackles from a safety or a running back or a linebacker, that kind of thing, right? He's not going to be a big bruiser coming up the middle, and I doubt we're ever going to see Dylan Edwards coming up the middle, which again could potentially arise the question of predictability, I guess, if you will. Like when you have Dylan Edwards in the game, you go, okay, well then let's not stack the box. Where in terms of when you have Yassine Willis in the game, who's 225 pounds and 6'1", all of a sudden you go, hey, all right, let's plug these linebackers in. So I like the different options that Kansas has there, just in terms of how they're going to utilize them. It's just going to be so much fun. And speaking of, by the way, you mentioned dual threat quarterbacks. Kansas got a dual threat quarterback out of the portal. As we kind of thought throughout this transfer portal process, Kansas felt really confident in their quarterback room. And okay, you got Zeke Marshall, you got Colt Ballard, you got Mikey Pauley as a solid QB3, right? Who's also like tight end 3, or at least was last year. Now Kansas goes out and they get Chase Jenkins out of Rice. He is fascinating to me. Chase Jenkins is. Last year, 119 for 172, 1,025 yards, had a 69% completion rate, which is really, really good. 9 touchdowns, 2 picks, had a 75-yard bomb. That was a touchdown. And then, so that's the passing stats. You look at the running stats. He had 151 carries last year for the Owls, 531 yards, 5 touchdowns. The guy's a true dual threat guy. First quarterback, I believe, in Rice history to go over 1,000 passing yards and 500 rushing yards as well. So he's a threat on the ground. He's a threat through the air, and he's a threat in this quarterback room, man. I mean, you look at it and you go, okay, sure. You got Zeke Marshall, who's looked really good in practice, and you like what he's done in the moments that he's been in. Cole Ballard has starting experience in a couple of games. But this is a guy who played an entire season for Rice, put up over 1,000 yards through the air and 500 yards on the ground. This is a guy with true in-game college football experience, and I think it's going to be a big-time shakeup. Now comes the question of, what are you looking at in terms of where you want to fit him in? Does he, get a nod for the starting spot? How is he going to fit in this? Because if you look at Chase Jenkins, you look at the style of play, and again, we're going to keep on coming back to this. You look at the style of play that he plays with, it fits perfectly with what, in theory, Andy Kotelnicki is going to do with this offense.
It's very interesting, and I know you've got some more numbers on Jenkins that we want to get into, but the quarterback discussion has to be the most interesting one of the entire offseason.
Yes.
And spring ball comes because it's the most important position in any team sport. You have to have a good quarterback or you're not going to win in football. Well, again, I think right now Isaiah Marshall is probably the guy for Kansas because he's got such a high upside. Cole Ballard, though, has proven that he can be a really good player. He came in when Jalen Daniels got hurt for one play and threw a touchdown, right? And we know that he can be a bruising-type running quarterback as well. He's been in the program. That's a feather in his cap, if you will. I don't know if Jenkins is going to be a guy who's going to compete for the starting job, as we get closer to the fall, but I also could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
He has proven that he can do a lot of things. You mentioned 151 carries for a quarterback. You don't see that very often. I think worst case scenario, he's a scout team guy that can mimic some of the things that Marshall can do or mimic some of the things that other dual threat quarterbacks, I guess for a better way to put it, can do in the Big 12. So that'll be interesting. And this also just from a depth perspective fills the quarterback void that Kansas had in terms of only having those two guys plus a redshirt or a true freshman and Jalen Mason. So that's interesting as well.
Right. Yeah, true. And you do have Jalen Mason coming in, but all of a sudden this just puts a lot of pressure on Isaiah Marshall and it puts a lot of pressure on Cole Ballard. And I think that, when you look at this quarterback room, it's just going to bring the competitive spirit out of all of these guys, right? They knew that it was going to be a competition. We don't know who the starter is going to be. And this is going to be the first time in the Lance Leipold era at Kansas where there is a true quarterback competition. And that's going to come to fruition during spring ball, through the offseason, and through fall camp. We're probably not going to know who the starter is going to be until maybe week 2 of fall camp. I genuinely think that's going to be the case. We don't know who they're going to roll out there week 1 against. Who is it? Fresno State? Or no, it's not Fresno State. It's
Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, well,
State.
Did they move that game?
They've had to move it. It's Long Island. The first game is Long
Island.
Island.
Yeah, it's Long Island. Yeah, yes.
But they might have to move the Middle Tennessee game to before Long Island.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so you might have to move that to week 0. That's right, because of the Arizona State game that's going to be over in London. So they're still, I think, working some of that stuff through. But this is going to be interesting. I do have some stats on Jenkins. So really efficient passer in the short game. Everything that you see within 10 yards. So 10 yards and back to the line of scrimmage, 90% completion rating. Unbelievable number. But then you look at his stats, 10 plus yards past the line of scrimmage. He's only completing 34.6% of those throws. So that right there tells you that, I guess I can compare it to like Alex Smith in his later years with the Chiefs of just like a check down king, like finding that short stuff, which is, good because you look at the wide receivers and you look at the threats that you have at wide receiver for Kansas right now. That fits the bill of Cam Pickett. That fits the bill of Keaton Quebeca. That fits the bill of Najee Cox, right? Nick McMillan, he's a burner. He's a guy who can go down and get those balls. Najee Cox, also a guy who can go down and get those balls, and he's definitely a 50-50 ball catcher, right? Guy who can high point the ball and get over a corner. But I think when you look at the deep ball, that's going to be the biggest knock against Chase Jenkins is, okay, you're not going to be able to break those, right? He's the quarterback version of a bruising running back with his arm. Maybe that's a weird
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying, though? Like, he's good with the short stuff. He'll get you 5, 6, 7, 8 yards here and there. You're not going to see any of those 34-yard 40-yard bombs that we've seen Jalen be able to throw. And we've seen quarterbacks of the past here at Kansas be able to throw. He's going to be really good in the short game. Now, here's the tricky thing, is that you bring Andy Kay in, all of a sudden your run threat is so much higher than it was in the past that teams are going to be stacking boxes and they're going to be taking out presumably probably a safety to come and check the run fit. They're going to have spies on different guys. So the middle of the field is going to be more open, right? So if you're a run threat option first kind of offense, that opens it up a lot more comparatively to what Rice was doing last year, where you're going to have easier throws that are going to be farther than 10 yards down the field. So I think it could be an advantage for Chase Jenkins to come into this style of offense, and it's going to improve his deep ball throwing.
And the other guys are going to have to prove that they can complete the deep balls.
Right. Yeah, true.
From an arm strength standpoint, Jalen Daniels is top tier. Yeah. And Isaiah Marshall and Cole Ballard didn't have the arm strength, and they probably won't. Jalen really talented and blessed on that front. But on the flip side, we've seen a lot of positives from those guys. Who is going to be able to contribute down the field, not just the little dink and dunks, because you're going to need some sort of vertical pass game as well. Yeah. So, again, you bring in Jenkins. He hasn't proven that to this point, but we also haven't seen it in big stretches from Zeke or Ballard, primarily because they haven't had a ton of opportunities. So exciting stuff. Kansas football in the portal gets Dylan Edwards, the running back from K-State, and Chase Jenkins, quarterback from Rice. And right now, KU back in the top 50. They're 49th, 24/7 Sports in terms of 2026 transfer portal rankings, and they're actually 12th right now in the 16-team Big 12.
Yeah, Big 12 been raking it in, man.
Can't read too much into that overall because you really don't know, and people don't ever actually compare it after the fact.
Right. That's the thing that we've taled about this before in the past. Where preseason rankings.
Once the season starts, you're done with it.
Yeah, off-season rankings. It's how would you possibly know? Nobody knows how much of an impact guy. Nobody knew how much of an impact guy Lyric Rawls was going to be last year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who he literally played. A couple of snaps for Oklahoma State. And all of a sudden, he's one of the best safeties that we've had here at Kansas. And now, obviously, he's in the portal, but nobody knows, right? So at the end of the day,
yeah, interesting. All right, well, after this, we are going to do our Case of the Mondays segment. A lot going on in the world of sports, particularly in the NFL. The conference championships have been set. AFC and NFC, we'll let you know on that front. And then a little bit later, we're going to hear from Bill Self. We're also going to have exclusive post-game interviews from the locker room. David Lawrence with Tony Bland, as well as David Lawrence with Bryson Tiller. So all that is coming up. Stick around. Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. A lot to get to for our Case of the Mondays segment, but first I want to tell you about our friends over at Game Day Men's Health. Lawrence, a plush man cave-like setting. They can help you out. Get on over to Game Day.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows, everybody's got white coat phobia. Nobody likes going to the doctor. It can be, weird and it's just uncomfortable. Well, Game Day Men's Health makes sure that it's the most comfortable setting. It's a plush man cave-like setting. They got TVs and snacks and the friendliest front staff you'll ever meet when you're over at Game Day Men's Health. It's really important that you go get yourselves checked out. If you don't have the energy to spend time with your family, go to the gym, go to work, anything like that, I urge you to go get yourselves checked out at Game Day Men's Health. And the best part, the first visit is 100% complimentary for free. They will go, they'll take your blood, they'll make sure all the lights are turning on and off. Everything is working just fine. If it is, that's great. If not, they're going to do everything that they can to make sure to get you back in the game. So check out Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence.
Yeah, 60% of all men experience ED at some point in their life. If you're experiencing that, experiencing low T, low on energy, maybe struggling with weight loss, anything like that, they can help you at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. All right, Dan, Case of the Mondays. What do we got today?
So I'm going to start here because this is a little bit of local news. Usually we go national news, and this has been making its way around the national circuits, but it's local news because something happened just about 5 minutes east of Lawrence in a girls' basketball games. Case of the Mondays for number one on the Bonner Springs girls basketball team because I think that she might be going to jail for assault. Now, we have the video here. If you have a weak stomach, I urge you to avert your eyes because it's gruesome. It's horrible. And I would never, promote violence towards anybody. And this is a very violent act. Elijah, go ahead and play the clip. So, he did wind up being okay, minor injuries.
Okay, minor injuries, yes. So my wife went to high school in Eudora, and where this took place, like you said. And it's known, we had a 1-year-old birthday party to go to yesterday with one of her high school friends from Eudora, and the other high school friends were there, and they're like, Sean, you heard about the Eudora flop?
Yeah.
And that's what it was. So I was first so confused when I saw this weekend. I'm like, what happened to him?
Yeah.
But it was just, I heard from a few sources who won't be named that there was a little bit too much chattering going on with number one. And and the official decided that was a way to.
I'm sure they were the
get
Eudora
past it.
faithful, though. Right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course. But also, by the way, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or you're listening on ESPN Kansas City, well, I want to let you know that number one for Bonner Springs went over to the ref. I think she touched him maybe, and he flopped and fell on the ground.
Yeah.
The most soccer, LeBron James-esque flop I've ever seen in my life.
Just an argument that, yeah.
Might be the most insane thing I've ever seen. How are you? By the way, before this, he teed her up and tossed her. She went over to go talk to him.
Second tee of the day.
Yeah, second tee of the day. She went over to go talk to him. He flopped and fell down on the ground. Insane. She still, I think, left the game. He pops back up, finishes ref in the game, and then goes and referees the boys' game afterwards.
Has he had a chance to meet with the press? I mean, because we need to hear from this dude.
We got to hear his side of the story. Just about by the way, how great would it be? Set up a press conference. He has like a neck and like a sling.
Right.
He walks in with crutches. That would be fantastic. That is so for a high school girls referee to do this is one of the more asinine things I've ever seen in my entire life. You cannot. And look, I don't care if it was getting chippy. I don't care if that girl was talking. You, sir, are a 55-year-old man.
Is that a guess?
Probably. It's a give or take a couple of years, and you're getting into a fight with a presumably 17-year-old girl who touches you in the chest and you flop down, and you're that dramatic.
I can respect a little bit of pettiness.
So here's the thing:
if he's done with this lady,
right? So
he's just saying, I'm not gonna.
If she was like, the story was.
Did he tee him up before the flop?
He teed her up before the flop. He teed her up, ejected her. She went over to talk to him.
Yeah,
that's the sequence of
events.
He's like,
I'm done talking to this girl.
Now, if she had been flopping all game and he was doing it to make fun of her,
oh my god,
that's different. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But if she's just chirping and talking and being a bully down low and throwing bows, and then all of a sudden he does this flop to try to be dramatic and gain some empathy for tossing a girl, that's insane, and you should never referee again. But if she's been flopping all game and you're doing that to make fun of her, it's still
you're all about
she's still a kid. I mean, she's still a child. I mean, she's I don't know,
dude,
a
high
teenager,
schoolers
man.
can get chippy, man. They can get chippy.
They certainly can.
Yeah.
But you don't flop whenever a point guard for Bonner Springs comes up and accidentally pokes you in the chest.
My wife's going to be so happy that we're talking about this. Shout out to the Eudora Cardinals.
Shout out to the Cardinals, man.
Cardinals were up 10. I think they closed out the victory. They were up 10.
Hams.
And certainly, oh, God, yeah. Jaden Ham, current, where did he go?
Arkansas State.
The
Fighting Gabe Cleveland's. Anybody in Eudora knows. Also the
Cleveland's and the Ables, all of them are Ables.
You know some Cleveland's? I played
Are
football.
You kidding me?
I played football with Gabe Cleveland.
Miles
Good
Cleveland
guy.
and
also
Evan Cleveland. Shout
out. Mitch Ballack.
Mitch Ballack. Also his
stud. I played against him in high school.
His brother is.
His brother go to Mizzou?
Jordan Ballack.
No.
Where
did his brother go?
I don't believe so. I don't remember.
Maybe D2.
Didn't play. I don't think he was an athlete.
Oh, I thought.
Well, at least I don't know. He might have multiple.
He had an older brother.
Anyway,
he had an older brother that we also
yearbooks
played
we can
against,
get
who was
past.
really good. But Mitch was great.
Mitch
played
was great.
He had like 40. He had like 40 points.
All
on
right,
us, so it was
Carson
unbelievable.
Beck on
Yes!
Case of the Mondays.
Case of Mondays for super seniors. Did you? So I know you saw this.
Yeah.
Carson Beck was in a pregame or a pre. I guess it was technically pregame because it was before the game, but. You know, they always have these week-long press conferences for all these guys and press row and different things like that. Miami obviously is playing against Indiana tonight in the national championship game. Carson Beck was at the podium, was asked, hey, you know, how are classes going? Like, did you have to miss class in order to be here? Carson Beck said, no, I don't go to class because I graduated 2 years ago.
He's ahead of the game.
Carson You are a college football quarterback. I thought the whole point, like, that's part of the deal. That's a package deal. Is to be like, hey, if I play quarterback for you in college, I'm going to attend your college and take classes. He said, no, I graduated 2 years ago, so no class for me. What is he doing?
You're telling me that college athletics isn't perfect. Is that what you're saying?
You know what? I think I'm just now figuring this out.
Yeah. God.
How did you?
A bad look.
Did you graduate? By the way, this is gonna expose me hardcore. Did you graduate in 4 years? Did you do?
Yeah, I did.
Like
I wish I would have done a victory lap, but yes, I did.
Sure. Okay. So you didn't even take an extra semester. You were
Correct.
8 semesters straight.
Correct.
Okay. So for me, I graduated in 5.5 years.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
I did wind up getting a minor, so that was nice. So I got a major and a minor. No grad school. You kidding me? But yeah, it took me a little bit longer, but also I enjoyed my time. I had so much fun. Also, here's the thing. I was supposed to graduate in 2020.
Okay.
And
got pushed back.
Everything just got like weird and moved and different things. And I got another year of eligibility for football, and I wasn't done with all my classes yet. So we spread them out a little bit. Did some different stuff. Also had to retake some classes.
I figured that was part of the plan.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Had to, I would drop out and then take it the next semester, and then drop out and then take it the next semester, and then, or not drop out, sorry, drop the class. I would drop the class, then take it the next semester. Did that probably a few more times than I should have.
It sounds like it.
But 5.5 years. A lot of people go to college for 5.5 years. They're called doctors.
Is that what you told yourself? Right.
But shout out to Carson Beck, man. Is he not going? Like, he's got to be going to. I mean, it's got to be something, right?
You would think that if this is true, which I'm sure it is, that somebody would have coached him. Hey, at some point this year you'll get asked about this.
Maybe it's like online classes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's.
Well, I'm
maybe
sure
he's saying,
majority of college athletes, I feel like, now are taking online classes. But yeah, I guess he graduated 2 years ago.
That takes away from the college experience too.
He was ahead of the game.
Going and seeing all the neat architecture and whatever. Anyway,
let's talk NFL.
Yeah, case the Mondays for the Denver Broncos, man. Denver Broncos, they beat the Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. They beat them in overtime. Great game, by the way. Josh Allen was at the podium in tears.
I mean, what did you think of that call, though? Because I still think it was the wrong call.
The interception?
Yeah.
So there was a similar one. Actually, we don't have the video because I thought about putting it in, but I didn't. So there's a video. I believe it was Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
Who caught the ball, goes down. While he's down, there's a defender over him who rips the ball out of his hands, and they called that an interception.
Yeah.
But if you look back, I believe it was Devontae Adams had a very similar one against the Bears last night. Almost the exact same.
Really?
And they called it a Devontae Adams catch.
See, I think it should have, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I missed, but people were saying something about how he's got to survive, the ball's got to survive the ground or something.
Right.
The way I saw it, Cooks caught it and then literally was down by contact in every sense of the definition and still possessed the ball. And then as he's down, it got ripped away. And whether the guy rolls over him or not, it doesn't matter because he's got the ball and is down and is contacted.
You would think.
But I guess not.
I don't know. I thought they should have given Brandon Cooks that catch.
Yeah, I agree. And it changed everything.
Is it weird that I was rooting for the Bills? Just because
I was rooting for the Bills.
I hate the Broncos.
I was absolutely rooting for the Bills. I hate the Broncos.
Yeah, so I don't know. But anyway,
yeah,
it's a case
deal.
of Mondays for the Denver Broncos. Why? They're playing the AFC Championship game. Well, Bo Nix broke his ankle. And I know you're probably thinking, what the hell? I didn't see anything. I didn't see him get taken off the field. We actually have the clip of the play where he broke his ankle. Elijah, if you can play that right now.
17-yard penalty. And this time rolling left and going to try to keep it. And he's dropped back to the 38 by Bishop, Tony.
There was a lot there. I thought they were going to be further down the field than that. But I can tell you right now.
So Bo Nix breaks his ankle on that play where he rolls out to the left, gets tripped up, falls down, immediately pops back up and starts like jogging back over. He stayed in the game. I believe the next play was a kneel out, which, still. But then he was fine, comes off the field. Then he goes over to whoever the sideline reporter was, does the post-game thing after they kick the game-winning field goal, and all of a sudden,
he just knows the whole time.
Yeah, an hour later, it comes out, oh, by the way, Bo Nix broke his ankle.
Of all the plays in football that you can get injured, it's him literally just trying to run out the clock, spot the ball, whatever it is, and then popping right back up and semi-jogging back to the huddle.
I know.
Very strange, but that's brutal for him because now he's obviously not going to get a chance to play in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. It's going to be Jarrett Stidham, former Baylor and Auburn legend, former Raider great, former Patriot great. He is apparently the backup of the Broncos, which nobody knew.
He has not taken a snap in over 700 days in the NFL.
Oh, my goodness.
His last snap was in 2023, and now he will be trying to lead the Broncos to the Super Bowl. So congratulations to the New England Patriots for making the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Absolutely. Patriots
also,
back in the Super Bowl. I'm kind of
I will
tired
say
with that.
this. Nick Foles did tweet this out. He said, note for the Broncos and their fans. I know this has been an emotional 24 hours. I feel for Bo and the team, and I'm sending prayers for a strong recovery. He also said, on a positive note, going into this game versus the Patriots is that they struggle against backup QBs in championship-type games, which is fair. Nick Foles, as we all remember, back in 2016.
finding a way to get himself in the news.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. But Carson Wentz was having an MVP caliber year. I thought he was going to win the MVP that year. Winds up tearing his ACL. Nick Foles has to come in, and Nick Foles, obviously, we know the story where they come in as the underdogs. They're wearing the dog masks, and they wind up winning the Super Bowl.
Special.
Now, is Jarrett Stidham the same caliber of quarterback as Nick Foles? No. Right away. No. Not even close, actually.
But, man, what an opportunity for him.
What an opportunity, but congratulations to the New England Patriots for making the Super Bowl. It's America's never-ending nightmare is the New England Patriots just continuing
It sure seems like it.
Isn't that crazy? The New England Patriots, they went like 2 years being bad. And they were like, oh, is this how you guys feel? And now they're just going to be back in the Super Bowl.
It was like 10 years, but yeah, no, I'm sick of it.
No, and
now they ended up with Drake May, too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Drake May's probably,
it's like
Drake May's probably going to win the Super Bowl.
Roy Williams, and then we end up
MVP.
with Bill Self. It's like, man, other people can't have nice things, and we can.
Oh, we had Gerard Mayo for a year, and he was bad.
That's
true. And then you hired Mike Vrabel, and now you're going to the Super Bowl again. Just it's horrible. I hate the Patriots. It sucks because they're going to win. Broncos defense is good. I mean, they have an excellent secondary. Nick Bonito is fantastic.
They got a shot. They have a shot.
Just, you cannot stop Drake May. I mean, that's just, he's so hard. Speaking of the NFL, and also speaking of the Bills, case of Monday for John Harbaugh and Kevin Stefanski, because the Bills' job just opened up. They fired Sean McDermott,
which is another one of those kind of Ravens type firings, I feel like, where it's like you've been really, really good, but you haven't taken us all the way.
Yeah.
8 playoff appearances. And Josh Allen now has 8 playoff wins without a Super Bowl appearance, which is an NFL record.
As a head coach, he's 98-50.
Yeah. No, he's been awesome. Again, it's got to be one of those and it's different than Mike Tomlin, because Tomlin's been consistently mid. Like, the Ravens and the Bills have been 2 of the best teams in the AFC. Like, two of the top, what, 3 or 4?
Yeah.
I mean, 4, definitely.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
3. I mean, it's literally Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, right?
Yeah. In the AFC, for sure.
Yeah, I mean.
And the fact that they weren't able to get by, that's the thing, is that just the Ravens weren't able to, get to the playoffs this year in the year that Patrick Mahomes was out. And then this seemingly was the Bills' year where it's like, oh, okay, well, the monkey on Josh Allen's back was he can never beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and they always meet up with each other. There was no Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and they wind up losing to Bo Nix with a broken ankle. Again, the Broncos are good. Don't get me wrong. But it's just like, sure, whatever. But now, this has got to be the most attractive job potentially in NFL history.
Is it more attractive than the Ravens? The Ravens is an attractive job too.
That's true, but the Bills are a more complete team, I think. Other than the wide receiver room,
I don't know,
got
man.
James Cook in the backfield.
Lamar and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, but sure, Derrick Henry's getting older, and he's still really good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you got James Cook, who's really young and one of the best running backs in the league. I think he had the most. Did he lead the league in rushing yards this year?
Henry?
No, Cook.
Cook?
Maybe it was like in rushes over a certain amount of yards per game. That sounds right. I know he would.
I feel like it was Derrick Henry.
Break a lot.
No, you're right. Look how close this was. We were right there. Cook 1621, Henry 1595.
Okay, so yeah, they were both right there.
Within
So, okay,
26.
fair enough.
And
But James Cook is younger.
JT was just behind him.
Yeah, James Cook is younger, and Josh Allen is coming off of an MVP year, right? I understand Lamar Jackson has one too. But I think when you look at the Bills defense versus the Ravens defense, I think the Bills defense is a lot better. I think they've had more recent success as to this year. I think it's just a perfect job for anybody to hop in and because John Harbaugh had been there forever, that it's going to be such a major culture shift for the Ravens, and he's so deeply ingrained in Baltimore. That's the reason why it's not as attractive to me, is because it's going to be weird. Sean McDermott, I understand, has been there for a long time. He's been there since 2017, right? But I feel like that's going to be an easier job to be able to take over.
Isn't it an interesting time, though, is that the NFL job openings aren't just always the Browns and the Jets. Like, these are legitimate
It's weird.
teams, legitimate franchises with legitimate players that are firing their coaches.
The Steelers-Ravens one.
Steelers, Ravens,
insane.
Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, if
But-
Mike McDaniel goes to the Ravens, which there's speculation that he might,
Right.
then, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, no, that's true. But also, the reason it's a case, I said that because John Harbaugh and Kevin Stefanski have already taken jobs. John Harbaugh now is going to be the Giants head coach, which is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he handles like the Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo and the great defense. And John Harbaugh, obviously, I think he's a defensive-minded coach, and I think that you have guys like Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter on that defensive line. You're going to be rock solid. But Giants isn't exactly the sexiest job, just in terms of New York media jumping down your throat and trying to have a career resurgence there. And then Kevin Stefanski takes the Falcons job, which could be a potentially good job. But the Bills job, I think, if you're a guy like John Harbaugh specifically, you're probably kicking yourself like, man, that would have been a great one just to slide into. Because because he was with the Ravens. The Ravens fired him. Then you would slide right into another AFC championship contending caliber team. Would have just been perfect. Now you got to rebuild.
I think I said Mike McDaniel. I meant Mike McDonald, the Seahawks head coach. If he ends up going to Baltimore, Mike McDaniel probably going to be hired for some sort of, at worst, offensive analyst, but potentially offensive coordinator somewhere. We'll see how that goes. Of course, the Dolphins doing away with him. CJ Stroud is on here. Didn't like what you saw out of him.
He's having a case of the Mondays for CJ Stroud. Did you watch that game?
Yeah, a little bit.
That was like, what was there? Probably 12 turnovers in that game.
And that's why, the Broncos defense is good, but it is going to be tough to pick them with no quarterback.
The Patriots are horrible.
Yeah,
the Patriots are absolutely horrible. That's the thing that annoys me.
4 takeaways
is that the Patriots didn't beat the Texans. CJ Stroud beat himself, and it's time to have this conversation about CJ Stroud. And I think it was Troy Aikman who said it on the broadcast. He's been chasing that rookie year of his, and he has been regressing every single year. I believe he is, every year that he's made it to the playoffs, he's won a playoff game and then lost in the divisional round. Never made it to the AFC Championship. His rookie year was fantastic. You saw CJ Stroud and you go, oh my gosh, he's the next quarterback of the future. I said it after that. I said, he's the next guy, right? You look at Mahomes versus Deshaun Watson. That was the big one early, right? It was Mahomes versus Joe Burrow, Mahomes versus Josh Allen, Mahomes versus Lamar. I said it was going to be Mahomes versus C.J. Stroud for the latter part of his career. And C.J. Stroud is just continuing to regress as a quarterback, and it is not looking good for him. He had 4 interceptions in the first half.
Yeah, Texans aren't here because of C.J. Stroud. Here being the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, they're here because of their defense. And Patriots honestly should have won that game by
they
more.
Had like 20. The Patriots had like 20 rushing yards.
Yeah,
in like the first like one and a half. You
got to credit their defense though for forcing. They did play a part in forcing those takeaways. Also, they completely shut down the Texans' running game.
Will Anderson on the defense.
Also, the Texans didn't have Nico Collins. I want to throw that out there. Didn't have Nico Collins.
Will Anderson. If I'm Will Anderson and I see C.J. Stroud in the locker room, I'm going over there and I'm giving him a piece of my mind because the Texans defense did everything that they needed to do to win that game. C.J. Stroud is the reason that they lost that game.
It happens. It's a team game. All right, last one here. We got a short video on this as well. Dad tax. I'm familiar with this.
Yes. Case of Mondays for a young soccer fan. We have a video of it. Let's go ahead and play this.
See, I can completely relate because I have a toddler.
Right.
And you gotta be very careful with the food. You also have absolutely no idea at any time what might set them off. And the dad just wanted a little snacky poo.
Yeah.
And kid was not having it. Yeah, explain that to the kid.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, dad tax though got collected.
Are you a big time? I mean, because
No, I'm more
You
so-
said that your daughter never really finishes her meals.
Yeah,
so you'll
which
take up
is
the scraps.
pretty standard. But yeah, that's what I'll do is I'll take the scraps at the end, which is how you put on one of the many reasons you can put on weight.
Right.
Is that you end up eating leftover chicken nuggets. Because what are your options?
Sure.
You're not going to save it,
Right.
And you're not going to waste it. So it's like your option is to eat it.
Might as well eat it. Yeah.
So anyway,
makes sense.
yeah,
The dad
the dad tax, it's a real
Classic.
thing.
Classic.
Case of the Mondays today on Rock Chalk Sports. Hey, after this, a little Kansas women's basketball update, and then we're going to hear from Bill Self post game. Jayhawks over the Bears of Baylor, 80-62 on Friday night. Another joyous night in the fog. That's coming up. KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Well, the Kansas women's basketball team has not had a great start to their conference schedule. We talked about this a little bit last week, but of course, a really solid start, at least on paper. They go up to Ames. They lose on a buzzer beater, a top 10 team. We know that this team has a lot of talent, but they fall to 1-6 now in Big 12 play, 11-8 overall. They were held to a season low 51 points in Tempe, 67-51. Arizona State got them 11 apiece from Jalea Davis and Reagan Williams, and it just hasn't clicked yet for this Kansas women's basketball team. And they're going to have opportunities. They're going to stay out in the desert and take on Arizona. But yeah, tough road to hoe now in the Big 12 conference, and they're going to need to string some together here very soon.
Yeah, 100%. You know, Jalea finishing the game with 11 points, Samaya finishing with 8. Obviously, those two are the head of the snake for this program. So you can't only get 19 points out of them. And then something interesting about this game, Elle Evans actually demoted from starting in this game. They wound up starting Sanaya Copeland, who played 31 minutes in this game, 5 points, but Elle Evans came off the bench, played 18 minutes, only had 4 points in this one, 2 for 9 from the field, 0 for 5 from the three-point line. I don't want to be too critical of Elle, but at the same time, you're the sharpshooter. You're the one who has to come in and has that high release and needs to be able to hit those big threes whenever you're needed to, and you go 0 for 5 from the three-point line. Just a long stretch of being in a slump for Elle Evans. Really unfortunate.
Well, and Libby Fandel, also in the starting lineup for this one, misses all 7 of her threes.
Right.
So it just wasn't working for Kansas in
4
this
for 20.
one. And you're used to Davis putting up 20, 25 points. She ends up going with just 11. Only got up 6 shots and struggled with foul trouble in just 20 minutes of play. So it just wasn't in the cards for the Kansas women. And like I said, you're going to take on Arizona next. You still have a lot of opportunities in Big 12 play. You still have 11 games to go on the Big 12 slate, but the wins got to start coming. Nice wins in the non-con over teams like Minnesota, but yeah, only win in conference play was against UCF. So you're at Arizona, and then you've got K-State at home, at TCU. They're a top 15 team in the country. And then you get Colorado and BYU at home just in the next couple of weeks for the Kansas women. Hopefully they're able to get some momentum because it's been a trying conference season so far for Coach Brandon and his squad. All right, Kansas men, they had a good week. 2 wins in the fog last week. Let's go to the podium postgame and hear from head coach Bill Self.
Coach Darryn and Flory kind of said the performance that they were able to play together tonight was kind of what they expected when they got here. I was just wondering, is that kind of what you saw as well when the two of them, first started this year?
Yeah, I think one reason why Flory looked good was also because of Melvin. But those guys were great. Both of them were great. They're 22 of 27, and the rest of the starters are 5 of 25, and we still won. Semi-handily, but yeah, they were both terrific. I thought that's the best game Flory's had in a while, maybe all year.
Bill, when you first started working Darryn back in and knowing you'd have him, more or less full time, what did you look to see how it kind of clicked and how it fit, and what are you seeing? Where's that showing up right now?
Well, you know what? It's only about halftime. What he played 19 minutes today, where he was actually on the court, where he was healthy. I think the biggest thing, like tonight, he scored. The other night, the last 2 games, he didn't score, but against Iowa State, others were aggressive. Tonight, I actually thought the others weren't as aggressive shooting the ball, and we actually did a better job of looking for him because he was kind of, he was on a heater. But that was fun to watch. That was impressive, and of course, Tunde and Carr both were great too. But that was impressive, but I still think when he wasn't in the game, the other guys were aggressive, and even when he was in the game after that initial push, I thought the other guys were aggressive, and I think that's the biggest thing is that we're kind of learning how to play off each other and not take away from somebody else's skill set because we're watching one guy. So he's been better with it, but I think the others have been better too.
Are you seeing it look more comfortable, more natural, easier for the rest of the guys?
I think the last week, obviously the last 2 games it has for sure. I didn't feel that at UCF. Whenever Darryn can score, and I could be off on my numbers a little bit, TCU and UCF, if I'm not mistaken, 23 and 20 or 23 and 17 in the first halves, and Melvin scored 3. No, he scored 3. And the second half, Melvin had 36, and so it was like Melvin needed him to be out of the game in order to do it, and I don't think he feels that anymore.
And he said you wrote, "Don't be one-hit wonders" on the board or something. Darryn said that.
Yeah, I did write that.
What was? It's obviously pretty self-explanatory, but what was the message you wanted to send with that?
Because everybody's been patting these guys on their back because they did something on Tuesday. We haven't done it. I mean, we haven't done anything. It's a long season. But I didn't want to be a situation where, that needs to become the consistent effort, not just a one hit. I'm sure my Sharona, the knack. And many of you guys are too young to know the knack, but look it up.
How validating was it then to see that they did come out with intensity, at least for most of the game?
I thought we played with great intensity, but I thought our execution was better tonight than it was against Iowa State. I really thought we moved the ball. What did we have, 4 turnovers? And the ball moved, and for the most part, when we didn't score there in the first half, we got the ball to the cup, and 44 did a great job of altering. But I actually thought we got the ball where it needed to go for the most part, most possessions.
You guys had a bit of a lead by that time, but where was Darryn at physically when you removed him from the game in the second half? How was he doing?
Well, when he asked to come out, it was done. So what was that, the 16-minute mark?
Mm-hmm.
So I told him you're going back in, and he didn't go back in, but he asked to come right back out after he went in.
Bill, I think a week ago you talked about the ebbs and flows of the season. Where do you feel like the defense is at after these couple of games? Are you happier, obviously, with how they've played?
I think we've been better, but we're going to have bad games, and we'll have more good games on that end. But I don't think it's where it needs to be. But other than Carr just getting scouting report, getting to his right hand every possession, and out athleticing us and getting to the cup, I thought we actually did a decent job defensively.
What did you just think of Carr and Tunde and the way they?
I thought they were terrific. Hey, they got 30. Darryn had what did he have at halftime? 20. Those two had 31 combined, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought they were both great. Tunde is a physical, strong, aggressive guy that is. You kind of bounce off of him, and he's improved his shot so much. And Carr is he is a beautiful, sleek looking athlete that can play off 1 foot, 2 foot, and his range. I was really impressed with both of them.
And Jaden Dawson getting some time tonight hit a pretty big shot.
I thought that was the biggest shot of the game because we were down 1, weren't we, when he made the shot? So. Yeah, I thought it was great to see Jaden get in there and knock one down.
On the note of execution, you've said multiple times this season, this team is not an execution team, maybe yet. Have you seen that in practice, getting better over time?
I think we're getting better, but it wasn't because of the plays we ran. We still get in the wrong spots and do that, but I think as far as guys just playing, I do think it was better. I do. I think the ball moved better. Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure if we'll talk to you before Colorado, so just in case we don't, what are your initial thoughts on going back on the road to bet?
Well, we haven't taken our act on the road really and been very good. So, we won at NC State and we weren't great, and then of course lost in Orlando and Morgantown. So yeah, this week is another 2 games. That's a great opportunity to go and try to play well away from home, and even though home court doesn't guarantee anything, it is different playing in this building when guys are so confident playing here.
Big picture, you were 1-2 coming home this week, and you had 2 big wins. What's your mood about the week?
I thought, yeah, all we could do was win 2 this week, so we did as well as we could do. So it was great.
When you led 19-4, I know there was a long game left, and then they took the lead. What did they do to do that, and what was your message to the team?
Well, I didn't think we guarded them, but the biggest thing is they made some shots. Those 2 made some shots, but we let Carr get to his right hand, and that was the thing that was most disappointing. If we hadn't let him get to his right hand as much as he did, maybe we would have still been up 3 or 5. But he just dominated us getting to the hole with his right hand.
One final thing. When you do go to Colorado and see Danny, is that exciting for you, fun to catch up? What is it?
I don't know that, if I get a chance, I'll talk to him, but I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to hang out with him. He's an enemy for a while. But he's meant so much to this place, and Tad too. I mean, not very often when opponents play that are in the league, unless you have an affiliation with one of them, when they play, you kind of hope they both lose the same game, which is impossible. But with Danny and Tad, you want them to win every game, except not at our expense.
A lot of lobs, obviously, to Flory, but you threw it to him first possession of the game, and I think first or second possession of the second half too. Are you happy with what you're seeing from those guys trying to get the ball to him?
I actually think we made more of a conscious effort to throw it to him tonight, and I think his energy level was better after he got some touches early, no question.
Cole's Riley's minutes have been pretty limited the last handful of games. What can he do to maybe get back into being a regular part of the rotation?
The way that I see it right now, we're playing better, playing less guys. So, not being negative, but if our rotation is 7, if Marco and Mari are playing well, and then when Mari got his second foul, we put Jaden in, and that turned out to be a good thing. So I want everybody to play, but the bottom we got to win games. So the non-conference is opportunities for guys to have a chance to kind of earn their way, and Cole's got the best attitude and everything, and by no means are we giving up on him or is he not part of our future. None of that stuff, but right now our team's performing better, I think, with the shorter rotation.
All right, Coach, thank you.
All right, guys.
That's Bill Self post-game. Also want to shout out Crown Automotive, South Iowa. And
That's
Lawrence.
right.
Miles
Yeah.
Snare and his team will get you in the vehicle that you need, crownautomotive.com. Appreciate their partnership. The first partners we had here at Kansas Nation. Coach Self, really happy with the contributions of Darryn Peterson, Flory, Bidunga, and also you probably heard right away he complimented Melvin Council. Again, Council, just one of those quiet but not so quiet performances. Really, really impressive. 5 assists, 1 turnover, and just in control. And we saw more of DP and Melvin kind of taking turns with the ball.
Yeah, I think I've said this before. Darryn Peterson will put up a quiet 20, and Melvin Council will put up a loud 10 points. Very loud, in this case, allowed 6 points. And
similar to when a dog barks very loudly, I think would be.
That's a good.
Right. I just came up with that.
You're comparing him to a dog. That's good. Write that down.
I know.
Right, that's really good.
He's like a dog.
But I mean, like you said, 5 assists, fantastic game in terms of facilitation. And Bill Self said it where, whenever DP and Melvin were in the game at the same time early in the DP and Melvin era, you saw one of them taking over and the other one taking a step back. I think both of them have figured out how to play with each other on the court. And that was something that Darryn Peterson had talked about pre-season and before the season started, is the fact that he thinks that Melvin Council and him are going to be the best backcourt duo. And I think we can see that come into fruition, right? And you're starting to see the DP and Flory connection. You're starting to see this team really coming together and figuring out how to play with DP. Like I said, it works on multiple levels. He's a multi-level, multi-tiered scoring threat. And then whenever he's being face guarded, that takes one guy out, and essentially our 4 against your 4. And he garners so much attention on the defensive and offensive side of the ball that you're having different guys coming over and try to help him, which again extends the court on the offensive side of the ball, which allows for more open threes, allows for more dunks down low, different things like that. So I think they're both really coming together. But Bill Self has got to be really, really happy with the performance that he's put out, that his team has put out over this last week, and heading into next week, or I guess this coming week with Colorado and K-State, it's going to be huge.
It is, and I was talking about this in the postgame locker room show. Melvin Council and Trey White should be in this conversation as well as most beloved one-year players here at Kansas. I had brought up also Grady Dick being on that list, and my dad had said, I'm surprised you didn't say Remy Martin. I said, that's a great call. Remy Martin as well, a one-year player. Obviously, Darryn Peterson has a chance to be in that conversation.
That is true.
If indeed he decides to opt for the NBA after this year. But no, yeah, just beloved players, and just the vibes are up right now for KU. Again, it doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect from here on out. You got to beat Colorado. You got to beat K-State. At least one of those games is going to be a muck it up game, I'm sure, on the road. So another challenge awaits for KU this upcoming week. Hey, after this, we are going to go back to the locker room post game and hear some exclusive interviews with David Lawrence. He caught up with assistant coach Tony Bland, as well as KU big fella Bryson Tiller. Plus, we'll give a game pick or two on the college football playoff national championship game tonight. 1 seed Indiana, 10 seed Miami as well. That's all next on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com. Hey, make sure you follow us, Kansas Nation, on socials at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Also, you can watch our shows and all of our podcasts that we have here on the Kansas Nation Podcast Network on YouTube. Also, listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. We appreciate the likes. We appreciate the subscriptions. And, of course, check out KansasNation.com for the best coverage of KU, press conferences, articles, anything going on in the Big 12, anything going on across enemy lines. You're going to find that on KansasNation.com. Hey, let's go to the locker room post-game. KU's 80-62 Friday night victory over Baylor. David Lawrence, the Jayhawk Radio Network, caught up with assistant coach Tony Bland, and let's hear that conversation right now.
Coach Tony Bland, how great is it? A victory? You're surrounded by family and friends. It's a great night.
Feels great. The guys are starting to play like we know they can play to their potential. The last couple games here, they've came together and they've taken whatever Coach Self has asked them to do. They're trying their best to do it, and against 2 really good teams. Those guys out there were really good today, but we were able to weather them storms and come back and do our job.
Yeah, the storylines are going to be the Kansas defense has settled back into that 36% number they've allowed early on in this season, and that's a good number.
Hey, for a second, the way those guys were shooting the ball, I didn't know if that was going to be the case, but we were able to bow down and put our backs against the wall and make some big stops, and guys like El Marco came in and he was big for us. And although Trey White didn't shoot it well, he played some good defense in Spurs. So when you got Flory and DP playing like that, we'll be hard to beat.
I think the key spurt was 22-3. That was the last 2 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half, and that's really when you pulled away.
Yeah, it was very important to us because, as you know, we've had leads in the last couple games here, and we've given them up. So for us to come out hard and protect that lead and build on it was big. And I think the guys are responding and they're getting better, and it's good to see.
Let me see. You have 2 players that go 22 of 29 for 49 points. That's a good number.
Yes. Like I said, those guys playing like that, Darryn was the best player in the country tonight. You know why you see him all around as number 1 on the draft boards. He showed it tonight. And then Flory, he showed his potential. He can go out there, he can rebound, and don't leave out the 5 block shots that he had and protecting the basket. So, they was great. It was fun to watch tonight, and hopefully we can carry it on and try to get a road victory.
And that road victory will depend on your scout. Just talk about going against the Buffaloes. It's going to be late for us old people, but I'm sure your guys will be ready, playing at a little altitude, and just talk about the Buffaloes and that challenge.
Yeah, Coach Boyle he's been there 16 years. He's an excellent coach. One of my favorite coaches in the country. He's going to have those guys. They're going to be organized. They're going to try to score early in the shot clock. If not, they'll grind it out and get a good shot every time. They'll protect the ball. They'll switch up defenses, and when you're playing up there and on the road and against a team that's well coached like that, it's always hard. I watched the game last year, and we played them in a close game last year up there, and they have their big guys back, and they brought in some really talented guards. So it'll be exciting to watch, fun, a good challenge for us to try to get a road win.
Yeah, and what's the biggest challenge? Is it their shooting, their rebounding, their defense?
I think it's their defense. They're really good defensively and switching it up and making you second guess what you're running. They'll play some zone, and they'll three-quarter court trap, and they'll hard hedge, and then they'll drop back. So they try to mix you up. So we have to, coach will have us prepared and ready to go, and it'll be fun.
Put into words what this week did for our confidence.
It was great, man. I think the guys, they had a meeting with each other, and they start to hold each other accountable. So whenever you have leadership from within, along with the greatest coach to ever do it, that's a recipe for success.
Coach Tony Bland, thank you. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in Boulder.
Yep. Thank you.
Rock Chalk.
Rock Chalk.
That's a post-game conversation in the KU locker room. David Lawrence and assistant coach Tony Bland. One guy who is really budding into a star. We're going to see him become that star before his KU career is over. Is Bryson Tiller. He had 3 blocks in the game on Friday against Baylor. So he and Flory with 8 blocks. Good rim protection for KU. A couple nice post feeds as well from BT. David Lawrence caught up with BT in the KU locker room after the win.
Bryson Tiller, not a bad week to be a Jayhawk. Just kind of sum it all up. It's been phenomenal.
Yes, sir, definitely. Knocking off the number 2 team and then coming in and beating a very good Baylor team is definitely something that's going to put us in the right direction, and we just got to continue to build off of it.
Yeah, so many times when you have a victory like Tuesday, it's tough to come back. And a Baylor team, like you said, a really good team, and they didn't come in with a high ranking, but certainly they got some players, and you took care of business.
For sure. It's all about the mentality that we came in with. We had a good couple of practices after the Iowa State game, but we just wanted to continue to dominate and communicate very well, and just check off all the boxes that we had before the game.
And you became so much more aggressive, especially on Tuesday. Your shots didn't fall as well tonight, but just being aggressive out there, just talk about that mindset.
Yeah, it's something that my teammates and everyone who believes in me encouraged me to do. It's just something that I know I'm capable of doing. I'm always trusting in my abilities, and if I feel like if I'm being aggressive, then the rest of my team is better as well.
And tonight you had a couple of guys that were pretty hot.
Oh, for sure.
He was. Flory and Darryn were sensational. I think 49 points on. Not many shots.
Yeah.
They only missed about 6 combined. Just talk about what they were able to do offensively.
Yeah, they were great tonight. Our 2 biggest pieces, offensively especially. But those are just guys that we encourage to be aggressive. They played well off each other tonight, and everybody played well off each other. So I feel like we just got to continue to be aggressive, play as a team, and we'll be good moving forward.
It seems like everything flows so much better. Like maybe this team is getting accustomed to playing with DP and without DP.
Yeah, it's really all mental for us. We know we can play with them, without if necessary, but we know we're a good team, and it's just really stacking days in practice and being mentally and physically prepared for the games.
What did this week, the lopsided wins over 2 good teams, do for the confidence, and how do you think Kansas is a different team tonight as they were, coming back from the loss?
Yeah, confidence is really high, of course. but we're humble at the same time. We know that we have a lot of work to do. We have areas to improve, so we'll continue to be able to do that. And we're just taking the next game as serious as possible and not looking past that.
Yeah, and certainly the front line with you and Flory. You guys seem so bouncy. You're getting more aggressive offensively. That's got to feel good going forward.
Yeah, for sure. We love to play off each other. We know that we're both pretty athletic and we can make multiple plays on the court, offensively and defensively. So we love playing with each other, and we hope to continue to play well together.
Tuesday, it's going to be a 10 o'clock start Central Time. I'm guessing it won't cause you guys much trouble. Yeah. Might be tough for old people like myself to stay up, but will that be any difference? And, of course, there's a little altitude involved as well.
Yeah. Again, we believe that everything is all mental, so we don't feel like that'll affect us at all. We'll get plenty of rest the night before, but we'll be good to go. We'll be well prepared this week during practice, and we'll be good to go versus Tuesday versus Colorado.
Yeah, a rare Saturday off. How do you plan to spend your day?
Get a lot of treatment and get ready for practice the next day.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, a great opportunity to go on the road and continue these wins. We love it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Bryson.
That was David Lawrence and Bryson Tiller in the KU locker room after KU's 80-62 win over Baylor. Of course, that was on Friday. That's behind us, and we're focused on the road ahead. But on tomorrow's show, you will get to hear BT again with Brian Haney post-game and another post-game interview, David Lawrence and El Marco Jackson as well. We're also going to preview, of course, KU Colorado, 10 o'clock late tip tomorrow night in Boulder. Crimson and Blue show, 8:30, Sports Radio 810, WHB. You can tune in. Hopefully the Hawks move to 4-2 in conference play and get that first conference road win. We have reached, Dan, the end of the college football season as number 1 Indiana takes on number 10 Miami for the national championship. I know this always bums you out.
It does.
When it's the end of football season. KU hasn't played in a couple months, but we were talking about this a little bit off air, and I was saying, it is a bummer. We're only going to have a few more weeks of football in general because NFL's ending. But to me, it's kind of like Christmas. You have to take the Christmas decorations down, and it's just something you have to do because that's what makes it special when you put them back up, when it comes back around, and you appreciate it more. So it's a bummer, and we have March Madness and a lot of baseball fans out there that are excited for baseball and better weather and all that. But we'll be back excited when the pigskin returns.
That's very philosophical of you.
I know.
It's like you can't really appreciate what you have unless it's taken away, and that's how college football is every year. It does bum me out because all of a sudden you get the national championship and then you go, oh man, college football's over. I love college football. It's my favorite thing in the world. Then you only have a couple more games of NFL. But like you said, take it away, and then all of a sudden you get just so amped up back in August. You're like, it's back, it's here, you start chomping at the bit, and I love it so much. But it's finally here. Indiana taking on Miami. At Miami, weird. Just
right.
They didn't mean to do that. But
road game.
Yeah, it's going to be a road game
in the road stadium.
Yes, but this game intrigues the hell out of me because Indiana has been, even though they're undefeated essentially, they have really just been dominant over everybody, and everybody's just been kind of counting them out because they're Indiana, because they're a historically terrible program. But Indiana, they looked so good in their last game. They absolutely rolled over Oregon. I just think that's the exact same thing is going to happen. They have so many good weapons on their offense. You talk about Kalon Black. You talk about, their other running back Roman, whose name is blanking on right now, Roman Hemby. You got guys who in the receiving game are really good, like Elijah Sarah. You got Charlie Becker. You got Omar Cooper. I mean, just all of those guys are just so threatening on the offensive side of the ball. I do have a couple of props for this. I do want to give some game picks. So
Real
right
quick.
away, I think Indiana, they're a 7.5-point spread on DraftKings right now. I think Indiana rolls through Miami in this one. They beat them by a couple of touchdowns. Elijah Sarrett is going to go over 60. He's averaging around that number right now. I think he's going to go way over that. Kalon Black, I think he's going to be, in terms of the 1-2 punch they have in that backfield, he's going to go over 61 rushing yards. That's what it has on DraftKings right now. For Miami, I do have one prop for them. Malachi Toney, maybe the best freshman receiver I've ever seen in my life. It's crazy that he's a freshman, and he's going to be a dominant player for Miami in the future if he decides to stay at Miami, which I guess he will because the transfer portal was closed. So he's going to have to stay at Miami. So I think he's going to go over 62 yards, over 46.5.
College football, man. If Indiana is able to cover that spread and they do roll, then they're going to be talked about as one of the best college football teams of all time. They'd be 16-0. That's tonight, 6:30, Hard Rock Stadium. That's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports tonight. We'll be back tomorrow from 4 to 6. Shout out to Elijah Schmidt running the operations. For Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying we'll catch you later. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.